Yeah, now what I can do is I'm going to move and rearrange here a little bit. Zoom you guys out again. Whoop. Okay, so the only thing that we're keeping is we're keeping this, and we're keeping the little buttons. I don't think we have to keep the shield. No, we don't have to keep the shield at all. Okay, so that's the only thing we're going to be keeping from the original setup. The rest of it's all going to be brand new. So what we're going to be fitting is this here. It's a brand new case. Yeah, I'm just going to have to come on. It really doesn't like this, but we can always do that. There we go. Take that off. There we go. That's better. Note to self, don't use anti-static as much. Okay. But this is clean anyway. There's nothing really on here that will cause us any scratches or anything like that. So we're going to be fitting a brand new case. It's a transparent blue. What do you guys think about the blue? I really like the blue. And then we're going to be fitting in a brand new LCD screen. This is made by a company called Funny Playing. What's nice about this company is they ship everything in these really nice boxes that's closely indestructible. Here's our brand new LCD screen. Awesome, right? So to check, is the stream still working? Yes, stream is still working. I love the blue too. It really looks nice. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to take this and put this in there, and then I'm going to move this whole setup to the side. For this, unfortunately, you are going to have to solder, but it's just 3 wires we're going to be soldering today. So it's like next to nothing. Get a knife. No, I've actually got some scissors. Move the water as far away as possible, because now is the dangerous bit. This out. Isn't that beautiful? Exposure lock quickly again. Brand new. Even smells brand new. And it's like amazing quality. So we're going to start with the screen. Now they recommend that you test things first. I'm going to live a bit more dangerously because we are doing this live. Now what's important to note with this is this case is specifically designed for this screen. There's my soldering iron. So this case is specifically designed for this screen. You can't use another screen here. There's like a little bit of extra plastic there to protect the screen, and it's phenomenally good quality. So let's start off by grabbing our screen, move this somewhere where it's not going to fall off and potentially break. And this screen actually has a nice little trick up its sleeve as well, which I'll show you later. So here's our replacement screen. This is, hello Zora, this is 100% glass. It still has a screen protector on there, that's why it has what looks like scratches and things on there at the moment. But that's just due to the fact that it has a screen protector on it. So this is going to be replacing our entire old screen. And we're going to start by fitting this. So first things first, I just want to see how this fits, because you need to slide it in from the side, I think like that, yeah. And it just drops in. Beautiful. I could not have asked for a better cut on this. Okay, let's start the dangerous stuff. Let's peel this off and get this fitted. One side. That side. Now we're going to do the same thing again. Just flip it around. Hold this like that. See, so I'm going in with the side of the ribbon cable first to make sure that I don't damage it. And it just folds in like that. It's like absolutely perfect fit. And this is 100% glass, so it's not going to scratch. It's like modern smartphones. Hey, Chicken Scratch, how are you doing? Cheers, buddy. Sorry, I haven't been like as active in chat. Okay. So we've got that, it fits in nicely. Turn it around. Make sure the screen is not going to go anywhere. No, it's fitting perfectly. The other thing that they include for us is a whole bunch of these protection films that we're going to use to actually cover our work to make sure that everything is working properly. And we've got the whole PCB here. Now what this is it has an EEPROM, save the settings, a whole bunch of analog to digital circuitry to change the levels and that sort of stuff, and a little FPGA right there. This is what makes all of that magic happen, so we can use a modern screen and a very old system. So this is going to sit right there, and it's going to plug in like this. This is just going to go around like that and plug in. So I presume we want this to sit as close to that side as possible. Okay. Oh, this actually has the touch sensor already connected. Nice. So it's one less wire we have to solder. Very, very nice. Yeah, first thing we want to do is we just want to secure this some way to make sure this doesn't move anymore after we've applied it. And for that, I'm going to use some very thin double-sided tape. This is the thinnest stuff I've got. Like with everything, the first little part of it has gotten a bit sticky or tacky. Unfortunately, I have to do this off camera because I need to be very precise. I don't want to cut accidentally the ribbon cable or anything attached to it. Well, let's see if we can do it on camera. Okay, we've got that part. Now that's the part I want to be furthest away from. Perfect. I'm going to turn this around like that. Trim it just a little bit. Thank you for the hugs, Coda. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's plug this in quickly. Now these connector cables, you just press in. So you align it, but you want to align it perfectly. I might have to just do this here. So sorry for going a bit silent on you guys, but I'll show you when I'm done what it looks like. But you need to align this absolutely perfectly. Because this is such a tiny little flex ribbon. There we go. So you just press it, basically you align it to where the connector is and just press it down. So the one thing you'll notice now is we don't know exactly where we need to fit to stick it down to. So to help us with that, we're just going to take our motherboard. This is such a good fitting case. There we go. Okay, it's going to go about there. Okay, so it's more or less where we had it. Okay, perfect. Turn this around. Stick this down. You only basically have about one go at that to get it like perfectly aligned. And I think that is flawless. Now there is one more extra step. You don't have to do this, but we need to connect those two pads. Select and start. You can see them on top there. Select and start. We have to connect those to our Game Boy. I always recommend doing this if you're doing wiring, so that you know you've only got the exact amount of wire that you need. They include some wire with it. I just want to see how long this wire is. This wire is literally about as thick as my... Well, it's about as thick as a human hair, a little bit more. It's going to go about there, and it's going to go up there. So you see, if we do use their wire, as they intended, it's going to be too long. So we're going to have to trim this a little bit. In fact, trim it by quite a bit. Romy, thank you so much for the raid. Sorry, I can't hear notifications at the moment, so I'm like a little bit slow. Thank you so much. Welcome raiders, my name is Fassman and we are doing repair class. We are teaching you how to repair a Game Boy Color. In this case, we're going to be upgrading the LCD screen. We already went over most of the repair things. But before we continue, I just want to give Romy a shout out. Romy is a very special friend of ours. They do amazing content. Please give Romy a watch. I can highly recommend them. So yes, we are going to be trimming this quite a bit. just to make sure that we can get everything in. Okay. Now we're going to fall back, and I'm going to take you back into the classroom quickly for a second. And now we need to see what they say where those pins must go. So we've got that. Okay. You see it says CPU there, and then you've got like 4 pins. Okay. I'm going to zoom this all the way in. Sorry, it's a very blurry. The diagrams are like very, very blurry. So it's those 2 over there. Okay, so let the soldering commence. We're going to take our screen, move it away. Switch you guys back over to the camera view. Zoom us in a little bit. Unfortunately for this part, it's going to be quite hard for me to see while I'm busy working, but that's okay. Take EL off. There we go. Romy, how was your stream, guys? Tell me what you got. What are you guys streaming? What were you playing? Was it good? So we can also do this so that it falls that way through, which I think is going to be a better bet. So I'm going to bear that in mind and route the wires that direction. For this, you're going to need a soldering iron and some solder, a nice sharp knife, and I'll show you my technique just now how we actually get this sorted. If I can actually get my little case open. Come on, you. Open says me. So this is the type of knife that I like to use. It is a very, very sharp because we don't want to apply a lot of pressure. We only want to scratch those pads a tiny little bit. Disable autofocus again, and I'm going to bring you in even closer. Unfortunately, this is going to look like very, very grainy. But it gives you an idea of what needs to happen. So what we need to do is we need to solder to these 2 points here. So you get that point there and that point there. So what I'll do is I'll show you the technique and we'll quickly scratch it off and we'll start soldering, and then we'll install the device. Solder going. Okay, so my technique is fairly simple. I'm going to put my finger down on the board, then I'm going to take the blade and I'm going to rest it on it. And what we're doing is we're taking off what's known as silk screen. Silk screen is an insulating layer that they add on top of the copper. It's like a little piece of plastic. Now, normally you see these points and you think, oh, I'll just solder to it. But unfortunately, you can't do that. So I'm just slowly scratching that a little bit. Just adding some more space for the solder to adhere to. There we go. I'm going to do the same for the one just below it. And you don't need much, you need to see tiny little scratches. See how those points are shiny now at the moment? The top one is at least. It means that we got most of the solder mask off. Yeah, I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to me just so that I can see better. This is the most dangerous part and I don't want to mess this up. But I showed you what the technique is like. I'm not pressing down, I'm not pressing hard. I'm literally letting the blade do all the work for me. Done. You know, I don't know if you can see that. Let me try zooming out and just bringing the board closer. There we go. So you see how those two pads that we just did is a lot shinier now. So they're very shiny. That's literally what we just did with the knife. Switch you guys over to full screen. See there? So we have to tap the camera to get the autofocus to work. And when I do that, it shakes around quite a bit. Okay, now is the next stage of this. We're going to now solder it in. So remember I said I needed to make sure I get the direction going right for it. That's what we're going to be doing now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our wires. And I'm going to stick these two wires into those little holes. I'm just going to bend them across. One in there. Okay. See that? Oh, this is going to be very tricky. I think this is going to be a case of you just have to trust me. You stick it inside and you just bend it across. There we go. Once again, let's do zoom in. See there? Okay. Now with soldering, you've got tons and tons of fingers. You have to use each and every one of them. I'm now going to take my soldering iron. I'm going to make sure I heat both the pad and the pin at the same time, and I'm going to apply some solder. One. We're not holding the soldering iron on top of the pad for very long. You only want to touch it just for like 2 or 3 seconds. Just until the solder adheres to it. 2. That's it. That's how simple it is to solder. Now take a look at what this looks like. It's really that simple. Unfortunately, this is Kynar based wire. I don't have a stripper that's big enough for it, so we're going to have to melt the insulation a little bit with our soldering iron and see if it melts. If it doesn't, we might have to just go with thicker wire. I'm going to take some Kynar. Once again, the first little bit of this is actually dead. Cut that off, throw that in the bin. The big secret with any sort of tape is if you want it to stick to something well, make sure you don't touch it too much. The more you touch it, the less sticky it's going to get. Also, I think this Kynar unfortunately has had better days. It's lost like the majority of its stickiness. Yeah. I'm just going to peel this back until I get a nice piece that is still a little bit sticky. There we go, that piece there is sticky. We're just going to cover what we've just done, just to make sure it's nice and insulated. I don't want this to ground out on anything at the later stage. I want this to last like forever. Get the focus working again. There we go. Done. Grab the other side of the board. We can already see how much we need to cut this. So we need to cut it about there. Want to keep a little bit of excess for the next person that opens it. Okay, and now let's see if we can retint these. So I'm going to use the heat from my soldering iron just to melt it. Hold that like that. So all we need is we just need a little tiny fraction of a E size on each one. So what I'm doing here is I added a little bit of solder to my soldering iron, and then I pushed the solder onto the connector, or onto the wire. What that's doing is it's burning a little bit of the plastic coating off for us, just to expose just enough so that we can solder. Done. That easy. Grab those two again. Now we are going to solder those two in. So very careful, I don't want to melt my brand new shell. I'm going to add a little bit of solder. I need to unfortunately move it so that it's this way around. There we go. Always move your things until you're comfortable so that you can work properly. Your comfort is the key to having good success. A little bit of solder there. And you'll notice I didn't use any flux. That's because a flux is like liquid paste that a lot of people, if you see people doing this online, you'll see them like throw flux on there and like solder. You don't need flux. All of the modern stuff has flux built in. Okay, and we can close this off without having too much of the wire still exposed. Beautiful. We zoomies you guys out. No worries, I'm gifting it. Oh, thank you for the gifted sub, Kynar. Sorry guys, I can't hear anything today. For whatever reasons, my notifications aren't working. You know, notifications is there, I can see it, but it just isn't in OBS. Black Cat, how are you doing, cutie? Let me just go check for notifications on here. Kynar, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. Oh my word, that's a lot. Thank you so much. Like I said before, this is 100% funded by all of you guys. So when we do the next one, it's going to be funded by you as well. So all of the money that you raise here, it's going to go towards it. Okay, so we got that. So what's our next step? My next step is just to insulate this a little bit. They gave us this funny playing nice little metal cover there that we can use to insulate everything. I'm not a fan of the silver tape though, but should be fine. You know what, I'm going to test this tape out. I do not trust it, not one bit. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It is conductive. Seriously, guys? Why do you give me conductive foil to insulate with? Ah. So do not use the foil that they give you. Instead, what we're going to be using is we're going to be using tape. Unfortunately, this means it's not going to be as clean as I wanted it to be, but that's okay. Now we know that nothing is going to make contact, you know, while we're busy. And working, that is perfectly fine. One more layer on the actual PCB there, because I see there's a little bit that needs a little bit more. At the end of the day, we don't want the Krypton tape to be visible outside the case as well, remember. Okay, done. Now we can actually start with disassembling it. There's one more wire we need to do, but I will do that one close to the end because it's easier to do it then. I'm going to leave the power button for last. And luckily these are spliced in, so you can't put the A button like what I'm trying to do here. That's the A button in the B hole. Because they're splayed out differently. There's, oh no, that is the A hole. There we go. Lol, A hole. Everything is nice and notched. How much play does it have? It has a little bit of play, but the A and B doesn't have much at all, which is good. The big hole that side. It's literally just the reverse of what we did earlier. We've done all the modifications needed for the screen, so now it's just a case of putting everything back in. Slowly and carefully as you can, and be gentle, take your time. You know, there's no point in rushing anything, because if you rush something, you might forget something, or break something. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off camera because I need to look a little bit closer at it. Let's just see where we're getting stuck on. One of the buttons came loose. Okay, that explains why we are stuck. This is a little bit fiddly, unfortunately. There's no easy or shortcuts that you can take here. Just be patient and take your time. There we go. Okay, so we've also created a new problem for ourselves here. See, for starters, that switch didn't align, so I just made sure now it aligns. Also, you see these wires, they're now facing into the IR chamber. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to move these wires out of the way. And there's a screw post there that we need to make sure that we clear that as well. There we go. That's cleared it nicely. Sure everything still aligns. Beautiful. This is going to get inserted this way around, so we're quickly going to insert that. What's important here as well is it has the little switch as well, touch sensor. So we're just going to move the touch sensor so it stays like that, so it presses up against there so that we can still touch it. And also we need the infrared cover. But before I insert the infrared cover, I'm just going to quickly screw in the few of the screws here, just to make sure that everything is going to hold in. I'm going to try and use the original screws, because they are much better quality than the ones that you actually get in the box with the system. This is actually a really good quality case, I must admit. You can feel when you're doing the screws, there's no tension or anything that you need to apply. Battery, there's the other screw hole that's there. And there's going to be one more at the side. See, I'm not going in and I'm not tensioning them and adding even more. I joined too late. What's this repair about? It's about the Gameboy Colour. We are upgrading it with a new screen, and we did the repairs a little bit earlier, but it's all going swimmingly so far. No problems whatsoever. So the other side. And I'm just going to tighten it until it just grabs the PCB. I'm not going to go in and add even more tension or torque that it doesn't necessarily need. Put that switch in. Sorted. Now let's grab the infrared. I'm going to use the infrared from the original cover, because I know that is a proper infrared with the proper filtering and everything. I don't know about the replacement case. It most likely is fine, but I don't know how far I can trust it. In fact, is this even? Yes, it is. If you ever want to know if an infrared port is real, just shine it up to a light. If you can see through it, it's real. Okay. I'm just pressing that in. Ah, you see, their one is a little bit tighter fit than the original. Not that much tighter, but you do have to squeeze it a little bit harder. But remember, don't ever force anything in. If you have to apply so much pressure that you're like groaning at the amount of pressure, then something else is wrong. There we go. Okay, final two steps. So we're going to take this and we're going to plug it in. Now this doesn't need the extra touch point anymore, because they do have it on the ribbon cable, but it does need the power point. For the power point, I'm actually going to ignore their wire. I'm going to use my own. Oh no. There we go. I had a little bit of a pivot in that side just to press that touch sensor more closer to the top. Done. Okay, last little bits. We're finally there. It's the last little bit. No, this is a funny playing one. I know, it's a terrible name. So for this, I'm going to use my own wire. It's much thicker. I just trust it a whole lot more, especially seeing as it's for a power connection. Okay, once again, I'm going to take you back to the classroom. Okay, and let's go and have a look and see what they recommend. You see there, they did the touch sensor separately, but you don't need that anymore in the new one. On the thing already. And the power side has changed. The power side is now this side. See, from there one it's different, but it's still looks like it's about the same. So let's connect that quickly. Add my last... Oh, you guys can't see anything, can you? Okay. Let's go full webcam. Let's do the zoomies. And free focus. There we go. Okay. So I soldered my power section there. See on this one the power is on the opposite side to what they recommend. But luckily it is nicely marked. This is a newer revision, so... And while you're at it, don't lose your solder. That'll suck. Remember, move your workbench to better accommodate where you need to solder. So there one is a second from the bottom. There we go. Perfect, and it sits nicely flat. It's nice out of the way. Our cables are routed nicely as well. We don't have to worry about anything pinching or anything like that. And now it's just time for the final test. So votes are on, guys. Will it work? Whew. Okay, back to the camera. Zoom you out. Zoomies. Okay, so let's just add this. I'm not going to add the screws. They recommend I tested this beforehand. We did not. We're living it by the dangerous side, right? Okay, everything fits very well together, I must admit. Okay, let's add 2 batteries. Make sure that's switched to off. Switch it on. First try. And then now as well you've got the touch sensor. It's probably because it's not screwed in nicely. Well, I wonder if that touch sensor is even properly connected, to be honest. There it is. Start and select. There you go. Now we can have game and we can go start select. Boy color. It's nice and bright. It's slightly bigger than the original screen. Remember, here's the original. And I've got another Game Boy. I'm going to go switch it on shortly for you and you can compare the two. But you can see the difference. You can actually now see what you're doing in the games. And the buttons are working perfectly. No more sticky buttons. I don't see any dead pixels. That's perfect. Okay, let's close it off. I'm really a big fan of this system. Really. Ooh, I need to hydrate. Ooh. Oh my goodness. The touch sensor is supposed to change the screen brightness. But I think this one might have 2 touch sensors or something. They did include one in the little packet. So we can add it and see if that makes a difference. So let's quickly do that. You know, just for insurance, you know, what's the worst that can happen if you have 2? But it has a touch button there, and it does look like it's connect continuity straight through. So I'm not sure what its problem is, but I'm going to install it anyway. So we're just going to solder this in like such. So maybe that's why they added 2, is in case that other one doesn't make good enough contact. I'm just going to solder this quickly, return it off camera, it's just a little bit easier. Okay. Now here's the extra touch sensor they gave us, but it looked like it already had one, so maybe it needs 2 layers. Of that I'm not sure. Or maybe the one supplied is not great quality. And they know this, so they give you another one. Here we go. Here's a touch sensor there. Okay. Let's close her off. Make sure the case is nicely aligned. And get the tri-wing, because of course Nintendo. But yeah, I like the funny playing one, because the funny playing one actually gives you a glass screen protector that's already like perfectly sealed to the LCD. You don't have to worry about dust, you don't have to worry about anything getting on there. And it just works. Once again, I'm not going to like overly talk it, but I just want to make sure that everything is nice and seated. There we go. Do the opposite corners. I'm really sorry that I missed all of the audio notifications and it wasn't working properly on stream. It is quite a bit upsetting when that sort of stuff happens. Oops. Careful not to drop this into the case, because the last thing I want to do is take the cover off again just to get the one screw out. There's actually a company that makes full aluminium replacement covers for the Switch. Like anodized aluminium out of this, like a solid aluminium block. I would love to get one of those. Specifically for the Game Boy Color. Final test. There we go, that works. Yeah, the touch button, for whatever reason, I'm going to have to read up on what it's supposed to do. Because that ain't doing it for me. Not at all. Wasn't it you have to hold on A or B and touch? I'm not sure. Ah, see, this cartridge also needs cleaning. Let's for now just reinsert it. There we go. You can see this is what original Game Boy games look like, because original Game Boy games only had as like a green screen. Just want to see if it's not hold down select and press the touch. Start and hold down the touch. No. A and B works. Maybe it's because I'm in Game Boy Color mode. Or standard Game Boy mode. Let's quickly try a color game. We'll do our comparisons and then we can find someone to raid. 2 hours on the dot. That's not bad. Thanks, Kynar. Really appreciate it. No, it's the mod you did is also like perfectly good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just this one came out a little bit later. And it has a few nice features, is why I went for it. It started select that you have to do. What is it? Select? Start. So you can remember what this used to look like. So, let's compare screens quickly. Let's see if this was all worth it. Zoom in. I don't have two of the same games though, but we can use our imagination. The Makwillas is less solidless, but the pain to align the screen because it does get extra power needed to turn on twice. Sorry, oops, sorry. There we go. Yeah, the McWill is an amazing mod, and it's actually higher quality than these by far. Okay, so let's compare quickly. That's original, which also this one needs a clean. And that's the replacement. Also, you can change the Game Boy logo on the replacement. But for that to work, you have to use a touch button, but that doesn't, for some reason, want to work. I'm going to have to read up on how the touch works. On their one, they have like a completely... got some tape connected to it or something. Okay, but there's your comparison shot. From that to this. It does have brightness as well. I just can't do it because the touch button is not working. I'm going to have to read up on that. I think that's pretty darn good. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry I wasn't like as involved with chat and stuff. Let's see what your results were. 4 votes yes, and it was yes. It worked the first time round. I hope you enjoyed the retro class.